Well, happy Easter, Stunt Hanger viewers. Today's Sunday, my day to work on my stuff. Yesterday I uploaded the Gypsy trim, and today we're going to work on the trim for my electric Thunderbolt. This is a picture of my Thunderbolt from '07 that was crashed, and we're going to try to replace this airplane, maybe with a little bit of upgrades. But I'm going to try to copy most of the paint scheme. I've seen this paint scheme copied by some of the RC guys, which is cool. And this particular paint scheme, even though this is my paint scheme, but it resembles Billy's Thunderbolt paint scheme, but it's changed. So I'm going to do my paint scheme with a little bit of upgrades. So the first thing I'm going to do today is I put the rondelle on, and how I do these rondelles is I paint the base white. I went around and made sure all the stencil was down really well. I don't want any bleed. I want this airplane to come out more or less flawless, but I know there's going to be mistakes in it. So we'll just do a light coat here. We'll wait a few minutes, and then one more light coat, and then I'll put the stars back on, and we'll shoot the blue on it. Now, I have the blue already mixed up in an airbrush, and that's what we're going to use to put the blue on with. See, when you spray that light, you can go right back over it with another coat because it's not wet. It's basically just a dry spray. Now we will have to wait probably 10 or 15 minutes for this to dry so I can put the star and the bars on it. So I can get my other stencils ready. Let's see where they are. 15 minutes since I shut the camera off and the paint dried, so it didn't take long. And I'd like to talk a little bit about how I did this. I probably should have shown how it was done, and I'll show how it's done on the rondelles back here, but I'll tell you how it's done here. First thing I did was I laid the outer perimeter down, and I picked the star and the bar out, and I put it back on to the backer, so to save it for later. Now, I've said that I do everything by eye, which I do, and I just laid the two bars in, one on the left, one on the right, and then set the star in. It took a little bit of finagling. It set the star in, and the correct alignment of this is that the tip of the star should touch the corner of the bar on both sides. So it took a little bit, but I just stuck these back down on top of the dried white paint. And now we're going to come back with our blue. And we'll airbrush that on and now there is all types of ways to do this. This is not the only way. This is just the way that I found works pretty good for what I'm doing. So we have a very light coat of blue on there, and we'll let it set for, you know, a minute. It's pretty dry now because it was dry airbrushed on, and let it set, you know, for a second, and then come back and do another dry brush run to cover up the light spot. Now the same thing goes for the stars and bars as that I said on my video yesterday on how I do letters. I do not do 2 or 3 coats because what happens is there seems to be some type of, because we're not putting it on wet, dissimilar dry times. And what ends up happening is that when you pick the stencil up, it peels the paint up with it. Okay, so now it's pretty dark. We'll wait a second, and then I'm going to, it's a little damp. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to put one final wet coat on, and that's it. That's all you get. Well, been about 10 minutes. I foresee that there's going to be overspray underneath the corners of these bars. Not a big deal. We'll come back and there it is. I knew it. We'll come back and paint it white. Slight bit of overspray on the corner. And in most cases, you know, people would overlook that or whatever, but I kind of want this model to be as close to perfect as possible. Let's see how this is. This is not bad. We can live with that one. That one we can't live with. I'll have to doctor that up. Couple on the star here too. we'll come back and fix those, but at a later date. There's no sense even thinking about trying to fix those till tomorrow, when the paint's good and dry. There's a couple of spots on a star, one there, one there, one there, and then in this corner. And we'll, you know, it all depends. Most people would just let it go, but I have a hard time. Now we just hope that the blue didn't bleed onto the gray. I'm going to try to get back into making my movies on a daily basis again. Been kind of difficult with those other paint jobs, but because it's, you know, all these things are pretty much repetition, just sanding, painting, sanding. So I just don't want to give my audience a bunch of sanding. Unless you guys want to see it, because I do lots of it. So the first piece of trim is on the Thunderbolt. And we just kind of build off of here. And it turned out pretty good except for the corner here and just one or two little overspray. I might be able to get that with, I better not. Because this paint is so fresh, if I put alcohol on it, it's liable to go right on down to the gray, because it's not very thick on there. Anyway, that's how I do these rondelles. I hope you got something out of it. Let's double check and make sure it's on there perfectly square, which I believe it is. It is square to the trailing edge. And I'm going to show you how to, I'm going to do this later on this afternoon. I'm going to do this lightning bolt on here, and that's a peculiar way to do things. This lightning bolt that's yellow is painted black first. The reason why it's painted black is that it has a black outline all the way around it, and we're going to have to backmask it. So first it's painted black, then we'll tape the pinstripe on it, then it's primed to lighten the black up, or white, and then we're going to paint the yellow on it. So it's quite a process to get that going. I'm a little bummed out about this star that didn't quite come out perfect. Couple of spots that oversprayed, and then this corner, but we'll get them all fixed. It just means more work, and I really hate that part. Really hate that part, but what are you going to do? and stay off the blue with the alcohol, because it will smear, I'm sure. Don't worry too much about the shine of the rondelle, because when you're painting, you know, this airplane is not real shiny. You don't worry too much about that. The shine comes from the clear, and because the clear gets boned out, and that's the way it goes. You know, this is something that I've learned over 50 years of doing this. You know, don't worry. There are no mistakes. It's just how much work are you willing to put into it. So, we'll be back later with the layout of some more trim. So, see you in a bit.